Welcome to the Dr. Detective, a PhD true crime podcast, the show where we bring you critical assessment based on experience. I'm the Dr. Detective, your host. We're going to get into episode 21. Let's talk about the in custody death. This takes place out of Dallas, Texas. Of course, brought to you by the podcast, The Dr. Detective. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other platforms. In addition, you can go to our website directly at thedoctordetective.net and you can check the podcast, look at the background, several other different subjects we talk about, and offer several books that have been published as well. So, again, welcome to the show. This is the in custody death that takes place out of Dallas, Texas. Let's get right into it. So this story takes place at the Dallas County Jail. The sheriffs, in particular, have several inmates in custody, and they're managing prisoners at this location. On this particular incident and date, there was a call, urgent call. They heard yelling coming from the inmates area saying, "They're not moving. They are not moving." Deputies respond to that location and cell. They find four individuals, four female inmates down. Apparently, they are suffering from some kind of overdose or some kind of medical emergency at the time. Once they discovered they were overdosing, they immediately began giving treatment, called for help. They were transported to a hospital, whereas obviously EMS gives them Narcan, checking vitals, and so forth. So there were a total of four Dallas County inmates that had overdosed and what was discovered to be fentanyl. They're transported, as I said. EMS typically gives or administers Narcan to try to revive these subjects. Between the time of the call or for help that they're not moving, roughly is about an hour that goes by or so. But they're all taken to the hospital, and unfortunately, one individual of the four was not able to be revived. So let's see what the sheriffs investigated. They investigate the incident, talk to several other parties, and once these people are treated, they interview them. As a result, they interview Daisy Zuniga, and she confesses to giving the other parties, the three other inmates, including herself, ingesting pills that had been smuggled into the facility. So, dealing with the sheriff's investigators, she said she confessed to smuggling them essentially into the jail, and she hid them to avoid Dallas police and or sheriffs. At the time of her booking, she was scanned. There was an X-ray scanner. She was able to bypass that with her hiding her contraband, the drugs. There was a partial strip search, I understand, that took place. Strip searches, I guess, whatever their process and protocol is. So they did conduct this at the time. But multiple inmates have been impacted as a result. They've impacted four people, including herself. So she also was a victim of overdosing. She confessed to these investigators that she had smuggled in some Xanax bars mixed with ice and fentanyl, and Xanax bars, whatever capacity that looks like. But she smuggled these inside her body cavity. So she admitted to this being a combination of fentanyl, methamphetamines, and Xanax that she concealed in a body cavity to avoid detection, obviously. So, of course, when these four inmates were found unresponsive, investigation starts. She had these drugs concealed inside a plastic bag in her body cavity, essentially. And she said she was able to avoid detection from the X-ray and from the strip search that took place. So again, when we talk about liability, essentially, people hide things in various places. This being a very intrusive place and manner, but that's not unlike, I guess, what they've experienced before, or maybe discovery. Maybe the reason for them having X-rays, scanners, and strip search being conducted. I'm not sure if they do that for every prisoner, but they have their processes and protocols to consider. So that's what took place there. Unfortunately, one of the four individuals that was unable to be revived was Quinnetta Ariana Brinkley. Um, Unfortunately, she ingested these drugs along with the others, and she's 21 years of age. She was not there for a drug charge, is my understanding. So we're not labeling her as a drug addict, neither the other three inmates, including Daisy. But Daisy's responsible, and she took accountability for smuggling these drugs in. So Quinnetta Brinkley was one of the four total inmates that was transported for overdosing, taken to the hospital and treated. And unfortunately, she died after treatment was not successful. She died at the hospital. As a result, the sheriff was interviewed or talked or spoke initially and said, we're going to decline making a statement at this time for obvious reasons. It's an ongoing investigation. But one thing about that, the family kind of blames the sheriffs and blames the jail facility for what took place. Of course, Quinnetta went in for a different charge unrelated to drugs. That's my understanding. And now she's gone. So what do you tell the family? They think their loved ones going to jail, maybe going to court, potentially getting a bond, or just being bailed out, whatever the case is, or serving their time and coming home. But this is not the case now. So unfortunately, this young lady lost her life just trying to party with the other inmates. And a lot of questions from the family. The family does blame the jail, but the sheriff has declined at this time to make a statement. Of course, this is several weeks ago, but it's still just a tragic incident that took place. Now, separate from the sheriff, the head of jail sanitation and maintenance committee, the commissioner essentially made a statement. That's John Wiley Price. Again, he said the facility is larger than 80% of the cities in Texas where these inmates were held. They're currently doing 350 to 400 cavity searches on a regular basis. And he said this is a 24/7 operation. So unfortunately, this type of thing does happen. He said it's going to happen because the inmates are savvy, right? So they try to smuggle different things in different ways in containers. And unfortunately, sometimes they have help of um, inner office people. I hate to say that, but the truth speaks for itself. So some of the other ways that they smuggle things in. And here's a picture here of, the jail itself and some of the discoveries that they've had, some of the contraband they've confiscated as a result. So ordinary household items such as lotions and things of that nature that may be bought or mailed in from family and friends could conceal some type of contraband. Something called crack stick, where they take filters and crush the filters up and smuggle in contraband and or drugs. Prisoners could have this under their tongue, maybe in their cheeks upon booking. Several ways of concealment. Obviously, the body cavities or orifices can be another way, which in this manner, that's what happened with this case and incident here. Daisy Zuniga smuggled these Xanax bars laced with fentanyl and methamphetamines into the facility by way of her body cavity situation. So again, not a good situation. And then, as I mentioned, could be corruption of staff and or employees, or a hybrid of all the above. So again, the inmates are savvy about what they do. Some important facts to consider. Again, we're not labeling any of these inmates addicts, but this is for anyone that currently is maybe using or just for knowledge-based purposes, right? So 1/3 of people who use heroin were incarcerated typically on an annual basis. Opioid use disorder is more severe and advanced and injustice involved populations. So pretty much they're saying that people that are incarcerated have a tendency to have a larger amount of usage of opioids for whatever reason. Maybe it's habits, maybe it's lifestyle, maybe it's just vices that have been, um, attached to whatever the case is, right? But some individuals undergo a period of reduced opioid use, which means when they're incarcerated, there's a time that they're locked up, so their tolerance level may be reduced as a result. The unfortunate thing and reason why I wanted to bring this to light is, if you have a time away or you spend time incarcerated, that may reduce the level of tolerance and I guess susceptibility to these opioids and their effects and the impact it could have on you. So what I'm saying is the likelihood of overdoses, I guess the risk increases based upon the reduced usage of and or time away from that lifestyle. Again, so is it a good thing to be incarcerated? That's never a good thing. It is about rehabilitation, of course, but um, they're saying 13 times the risk of death results when a person is released from incarceration. So the bad part about that, and I guess the thing that's a little bit, I guess, counterintuitive, or this is not the case. They weren't released; they were actually in the facility. So when there's an in custody death, there's specific protocols that the deputies have to go by, specific rules, regulations, procedures, and the investigation has to take place in accordance with those procedures and policy and what they do. So I'm sure they're going to vet the camera system, surveillance. They're going to look at the X-ray scanner. They're going to interview and talk to everybody that was present upon the booking of these individuals, upon the discovery of these individuals that were under the influence or overdosing in a medical emergency. And they're going to talk to just everybody across the board, staff, um, civilian, and um, commission employees, and so forth. So again, you can find us on thedoctordetective.net. Also, to subscribe, go to YouTube and subscribe to youtube.com at the Dr. Detective Troy Looney. Again, there's links there. Go to the website. Plenty of links. Click on the podcast section, and it'll take you right to the podcast. You can subscribe there also, right? So I'll leave that banner scrolling. So essentially, what I'm saying in terms of opioid uses and the risks associated with incarceration, also, people who have been arrested or incarcerated have a higher rate of substance abuse use disorder than the nation at large. Some of the stats here show, 8% of the population 12 and older, about 41% of people arrested at least once or in the past 12 months, and then 47% for the people in state and federal prisons in the 12-month prior to admission, that they have that risk associated with the use of these opioids and so forth. So I guess the question I pose is treatment an option while they're incarcerated, or should that be an option, whether they use or not, or maybe at least offering that as a potential action plan? We're talking about proactive elements, proactive considerations for everyone, whether you use or do not use, or maybe you've considered or tried it once, right? If you are incarcerated, should that be part of the process and part of the requirement? Maybe that's a drug court, as they call it. If you're arrested for drugs, you go to a specific courtroom that specializes in the treatment of or connecting the dots with treatment, rehabilitation, and so forth. Maybe court ordered rehabilitation, court ordered programs, and so forth for staffing. So, should that be an option? Treatment when incarcerated. So, there's a program called Success. What is the Success program? This offers medical treatment during incarceration, specifically for addiction and so forth. So, there's a collaboration of many different agencies: public health, healthcare, corrections, Medicaid, and so forth. So this program is set up to reduce recidivism. That's repeat offending, right? Recidivism, and ensures successful reentry into the population. Maybe additional support, recovery services offered, and decreasing infectious diseases for people in the justice system. That's also a concern, while decreasing overdoses, which reduces hospitalization post incarceration, right? So, again, it's a plan, it's an option, it's another option or plan. It's an idea to take some kind of action. Again, not labeling any of these inmates as addicts, but there was usage that took place. And unfortunately, there was a death that took place. That's very tragic. So we can avoid that in the future and just improve. Everyone talks about police and sheriff need improved training or more training. It's not always just about the training. It's about a collective effort and collaboration between everybody. everybody has to be accountable across the board. That includes those that use, those that enforce the law, those that manage, and those that govern the law, and the families, right? So it is not easy by no means. No one's saying this is easy. We're not trying to make this sound easy, but it's a collective effort. So we have to do better. If we want better, we have to do better, and we have to be accountable. So you can't blame one side and not the other. It is a collective and a community effort if we want to improve our communities, improve the quality of life for all of us, essentially, right? So treatment, I say, or at least treatment education should be essential. It's essential because, again, to understand what we're dealing with, we know that the opioid epidemic is a problem. Everyone knows it's a problem, but what else can we do to try to slow down the numbers? I believe the numbers are slowing down somewhat, but um, when you have situations in this capacity where there's someone in jail and someone's smuggled contraband and drugs into the facility, that's bad all day long. So that is just terrible. Again, addiction is addiction, and there are plans in place or other plans that have already been in place, and detoxification and rehabilitation and everything else, right? But we just want to try to increase the awareness, increase the educational factor of treatment, and then maybe we can make that court ordered as far as certain plans to consider. So in jails, the most effective treatment options are least accessible for people with opioid use disorder. That's alarming because of the impacts that this drug use has. Right, it impacts just about every crime associated with law enforcement currently. I can tell you in my 32 years, again, I stress that um, everyone has a story or reason for what they do. It doesn't justify what they do as far as crime, but there are factors and there are other vices to consider. There's other elements of the lifestyle to consider or habits that are being supported, right? So, medications for withdrawal systems could be part of this treatment plan. Again, initiation of behavioral and psychological treatment. So, a lot of people have overlapping disorders, overlapping causes, and layers of vices and conditions that factor in. It's not just the drugs. Sometimes it can be the drugs to suppress mental health disorders, or a hybrid of all the above, or other um, problems that exist, right? So we want to increase the overdose education. Again, mental health as a factor that always factors in. It could be mental health or what appears to be mental health based upon usage of these opioids and what appears to be mental health, but in fact, it could be something that stems from being under the influence, or a hybrid of both. So, again, some other additional stats: percentage of all deaths related to drugs within the first 12 weeks of being released. This is about reentry into society and how we can maybe improve those odds, or improve, what's taking place, improve what's happening. Again, we want to reintroduce people. Hopefully, they've been rehabilitated and can become more productive as far as being a part of society versus dealing with their issues, and everyone's kind of impacted based upon what they're doing in their lifestyles. Some additional things to consider: Texas, where this took place out of Dallas, Texas has the most prisons and jail systems in the United States currently. Texas has around 100 state and private facilities managed by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, or the TDCJ, right? So they manage the most prisons and jails in the United States currently. I don't know if that's good or bad, essentially. I guess it's just contingent upon, structuring, contingent upon legislation and so forth. But Texas has one federal penitentiary located in Beaumont. Again, in total, Texas holds a large number of incarceration places like jails and prisons, making it the state with the most prisons and jail systems in the United States. Again, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice does not regulate local jails. So again, we're not trying to point fingers or place blame or consider who is responsible, but we have to work as a collaboration, and we start with those in control. So if it is the state that regulates um, or federal partners that have to come in and help regulate and create plans and options. Maybe that's what has to happen. Again, should there be more surveillance, right? I'm sure there's surveillance in these facilities currently. Whether there's cameras inside the cells is another thing. Maybe just the more common areas. So contingent upon how things are structured, um, rights and privacy and so forth, policies and protocol, everything factors in to consider. So I'm sure they're going to review every camera system they have to try to determine when this took place, what they could have improved on, or maybe missed what they missed and what they can improve on not missing next time. Hopefully, there's no next time that happens, but it's about prevention and being proactive in this case, in the situation. So more surveillance. There's already a plan in place, and for facilities to have body cams, or they're considering the deputies and guards to have body cameras for staff and maximum security specifically. This plan's already in place. They're trying to roll this out, and they're working on 23 maximum security sites being outfit with body cameras. At least their staffing being outfit with body cams within the next year or so. So, what are your thoughts on local jail surveillance as well? Not just federal, state, but your local staffing have body cams. Again, I don't want any deputies mad at me, but this is being considered in Texas, so for obvious reasons. So again, the camera can be your friend. As a result of this case with Daisy Zuniga um, smuggling these Xanax bars laced with fentanyl and methamphetamines into the jail, she was charged with the death of that inmate, Quinnetta Brinkley. She was charged with her death. She's charged with the murder as a result of the overdose and her being responsible for bringing the drugs in and administering them to the other inmates, including herself. She's charged. So if anyone dies in the commission of a felony, that is typical for states to consider bringing charges, and that was discussed. Commissioner Price still weighs in again. He noted that with a high inmate population and limited resources, drug smuggling is a persistent challenge. So he says this is a challenge. It's always been a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, essentially, moving forward. And this is what they deal with on a regular basis. So they're already conducting cavity searches and random searches or organized searches, however they structure their processes. But he said it's an ongoing problem. The unfortunate thing, and we want to give respect to Ariana Brinkley, our victim, give much respect to her because she didn't deserve to lose her life as a result of this. Her family states she was not a drug addict at all, by no means. And it's unclear if the other woman, along with Quinnetta, knew that these were something other than Xanax. Was that mentioned by Daisy? That is a question investigators, I'm sure, would ask, or they may ask that of the other inmates and during their interviews and so forth. But these were bars pressed as Xanax, laced with fentanyl and methamphetamines. So again, this sheds light on the opioid crisis out there, how often people are not aware of what they are consuming. So you have to really be careful. That goes for everything. That's for the marijuana, that's for any pills you may have or anyone has to potentially sell to you, any other kind of just anything, candy, gummies. You have to be careful with everything that is ingested or consumed because you just don't know. And even if you say, yeah, I deal with this person, you still may not know because they may not know where they got it from or their supplier. So again, we're not advocating for drug use. We're just saying be careful. People are going to use, people are going to drink alcohol, they're going to consume beverages, whatever the case is. You have to be careful. And again, we're not labeling any of these victims as addicts, but it's unfortunate that she lost her life. In respect of Quinnetta Brinkley and the family, we're going to extend prayers for her. This is her beautiful daughter here as well, and several pictures of Quinnetta. She went by Ari as well, Quinnetta Ari Brinkley. So again, prayers for her, prayers for her daughter and family. A tragic incident that took place, and we'll see the outcome based upon the investigation and what has been discovered, what is found. I'm sure there's autopsy and so forth that took place to be considered. So Again, prayers go out. As always, we try to spread love with these um, episodes and everything else, right? So this is the in custody death that we covered out of Dallas, Texas. That's Ari and Daisy there, showing a picture of the jail, sheriff's controlled. This is the Doctor Detective series, a PhD, True Crime Podcast. Again, find us on our website, thedoctordetective.net. Find us on YouTube. Share, like, and subscribe. You can listen on Spotify. I'm sure it's hard if no one has hours to sit there always. So you can stream on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and find episodes there. Also, Amazon Music and Audible. Again, share, like, and subscribe. I want to thank you again and appreciate you watching. As always, spread love, education, awareness, show some compassion, right? And we'll get along a lot better and makes a day better, right? Ask somebody how they're doing. Check on them. Let's see the outcome of this case. We may dial back later. Again, Dr. Detective, thank you.